One shot at a time.
Welcome back to the Enjoy the Walk podcast. We are here at Liberty Mountain Resort in Carroll Valley, Pennsylvania, joined by head pro Gavin Green. Gavin, first off, I think we want to thank you for having us out on the course today. We were, for December 23rd to get out on the course.
Not too shabby, right?
Not too shabby.
We actually were sweating it up a little bit out there,
I was.
right?
We had the Santa hat on, and I was sweating some bullets out there on the back nine. So
Yeah.
pretty sweet to have this kind of weather late in the season like this.
In
So.
Pennsylvania, this is called a bonus day. You don't get a lot of these.
Absolutely. And for those who don't follow us on Instagram or anything like that and didn't see the content we put out, there are plenty of skiers and snowboarders on the other side of the mountain today, mucking it up in the snow and everything. So to be on the golf course today out of all days was pretty good blessing.
It's one of the unique things that we offer here at the property. It's actually really cool. January, February might be a little too cold to get your diehard golfers out there, but like March or December, like we got today, when you get one of those nice bonus days with weather like this, you'll get people skiing, snowboarding. Meanwhile, like 50 feet away, you got people firing tee shots into 18, man. It's pretty sweet.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely. I know Logan and I grew up around this area, and we've done it a lot of times in the past where we've seen Christmas Eve kind of come through, and we've been out in the golf course getting those last swings in before family festivities around the Christmas time. So you never know what you're going to get with South Central Pennsylvania.
Nope.
So let's go over our round a little bit. Our early couple holes saw some concrete conditions out of the greens today.
Number 3, rock hard.
Yeah.
That hole primarily sits in the shade most of the year, regardless of the time. So with cold temps coming in, you can expect it to be frozen. I think you said it.
I'm pretty certain 2 days ago it was like 15 degrees out where we're at. So, yeah, it's a little frozen.
To go from 15 to 56 in just a couple of days, that's a huge jump. So take advantage of the bonus days when we can. But I think Dalton, he had me down by quite a few on that front 9.
I don't want to talk about
Taking it to me.
because I lost the lead. I lost the lead quick, and there's not too many times I get a lead. So to watch a few fan shots hit the ice skating rink that was the pond on number 10 was a little disheartening. But yeah, no, it was from tee to green. I mean, in December, it was an absolute pleasure to play out there, and I think anyone that says a golf course is in mint condition in December, I'd question their integrity on the East Coast. But especially out there, I mean, man, with as much precipitation as we've had, and it seems like everything has just filtered correctly into the right spots, and it was a pleasure to play as always. I think just the layout of the course is always fun,
The layout's been great for years. There's been a lot of new additions to the course with renovations to the clubhouse and obviously the ski resort. So to see that change and grow and develop over the past few years has been really awesome to see. But one of the biggest things that I had noticed the course struggled with was the bunkers. We're not always in the greatest of shape, but I think you guys just renovated them within the past year.
Did 2 seasons ago. Yeah, it's one of the things when, so take it back almost 10 years now, I guess. 2010, when Carroll Valley was purchased by the adjacent resort. For those of you all not familiar with the property,
Yep.
Liberty Mountain. They really have made a conscious effort into trying to reinvest into the golf course, between renovating the hotel rooms that are right there on the putting green to the largest renovation you're going to find is that Highland Lodge property that we're in right now,
Absolutely.
obviously. But even the on-course stuff, like put in dual line tour irrigation system, brand new cart paths, brand new cart fleet, and then 2 years ago the bunkers. And what causes that? Every customer that plays here or stays here gets a survey, and like that is a perfect example that we listen to those surveys because we were getting beat up by the condition of the bunkers, and rightly, deservedly so.
Yep. And
so you took it to the board, and boom, new bunkers.
Yeah,
pretty sweet.
It's unfortunate that you've redone those bunkers. It cost me a lot of strokes today. They were surprisingly full and fluffy all day long, and that's not something you see out of many courses, and it's something that I know guys that play golf like Logan and I, and I'm sure Dante as well, we play golf all the time, so we appreciate good bunkers like that. But it's tough to expect that or play it when you're not expecting it, because a lot of places are just hard pan and don't have that kind of quality bunkering.
The best thing about those bunkers is the way that they drain.
Yep.
So like 2 years ago, we had the wettest summer on record. and the bunkers had just gone through this renovation, and they were literally the driest thing on the golf course. Which, if you'd have come here the season prior, the course would be bone dry, and there would be bunkers out there that still had, like a foot of water in them. I mean, like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah.
So that part that they did with the drainage, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that was awesome. I think we were even playing with you when I said it. It was something like there was not a wet spot of true puddling kind of water in any of those bunkers today, and I thought that was remarkable with as wet as the rest of the course was. So, I mean, Dante, do you have any input on your side of things as far as your experience with the golf course and how it played? I know you said you took a buddy's trip here a couple years ago and really enjoyed your experience.
Yeah. So first and foremost, if I didn't have to be stuck at work and didn't use all my days during the summer, I'd be sitting with you guys right now. I watched that story all day and wanted to just, but no, I think actually we did there's a group that went out there every year. It's a bunch of Masonaries. I think I went out with them in 2017. So I think it was the year where they had the wettest summer. So the course was a little on the wet side, but from what I remember, I had a blast, and I think it was the resort and the hotel complex was it's like new. I don't know how new it was.
Do you remember when you came and who you came with?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of his name. I can't think of it at the top of my head. Let me.
You said summer 17 though, 2017.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna test my customer recollection here, just because that's one of the things we do here. Our guests that are coming, just like you said, you were with that group of guys that come here every year. Well, we have guys that come the same dates. They want the same hotel rooms. They eat at the same dinner time. They have the same tea time. So it'll just be interesting to see who you came with. See if I can rattle off who the group leader was.
I'm trying to think who the group leader is. That's what I'm thinking about. But I think we're on the same page of thinking of the same group, because they always get that nice dinner meal at the end, pretty much on that one night near the end of the trip. They do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're always playing as much as they want. They play golf like they do 2 rounds basically when they're here. And coming to that, a buddy of mine as well who decided to do the trip for the first year. We played, so the trip actually is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We made that trip the previous Saturday, Sunday. We played our courses because I am along with the Ron Jaworski golf. So we have all these assortment of courses. We played our courses. We went out to Downingtown, then we went out to Honey Run, and then we went to Penn National, and then we finally came to Carroll Valley. And they're like, "This is the trip
right
right
there,
there,
boys." There it is.
Let me know when you book that next year. I want in.
And I'm talking 2 rounds almost every day. So when the time I got to Carroll Valley, I was exhausted. So I played my absolute worst golf during the trip. So to speak on Carroll Valley, it probably wasn't my best of trips because I played like absolute crap. But after watching you guys play today, I was actually remembering a few of the holes. I remember that par 3 coming up off the back 9. I remember the 18th hole. I do remember that. It just shows how much golf I've been playing over the years. I really had to think about and pull up the course on Google Maps just to kind of get a feel as to where you guys were on the story.
Yeah, and it was funny too. Like the same thing for me. I hadn't played here in probably a couple years now. Growing up here, I played here a good bit when I was a kid and stuff, and here in the adjacent course Mountain View. But it's funny how when you step up to a tee box, it's like no matter how much golf you haven't played at that particular course, if you played there a lot when you were a kid and you step up somewhere, you're like, man, I remember this shot. Or, you turn the corner and it's like, oh, I remember this hole. My favorite part of the course is what my dad always used to dub as Amen Corner in Carroll Valley. Is the 13th and 14th hole makes a horseshoe turn, and kind of from 14 in, it's a straight shot. Race back to 18, and I always remember just matches between my dad and I. We would no matter how close or it was or it wasn't, it was game on from 14 and in, and it was always a memorable point of the course. And I think it's an exciting part for me coming back here to kind of get through that turn At that point, I was giving the match over to Isaiah. At that point, it was pretty neat to kind of walk back through there and see that part of the course again.
But today it was great. It was great to get through there, and it started up a lot of memories from childhood playing with Dalton and Marlon, his father, and even walking the course with my dad and close friends as we grew up and played there. We also dubbed it the Amen Corner because it's the farthest point away from the course, and like Dalton said, it makes a quick horseshoe back, and it's a race into the clubhouse. But as we were enjoying the walk today, it wasn't so much a race as it was just enjoying the time with friends and playing with Gavin and Matt. But Gavin, is there any stretch holes out on the course that you deem to be your favorite?
That stretch that you guys are talking about, man, like that is quite a finish. One, it's a test. If you're not playing well, be like, well, let me see if I can at least piece it together these last 4 holes. Or if the worst is when you're playing well, and you're like, oh man, I just got to get through it. If I can get through 14 and 15, maybe I need a bogey on 16 because 16 is a brutal hole as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But then 17 gives you a little bit of reprieve. Risk reward par 5, finishing on 18 tight. We lucked out today because one of the features of this golf course is the wind.
Absolutely.
It like Carroll Valley, that's not a lie. Like we're in between 2 mountains. You got Jack's Mountain on the one side, you got Liberty Mountain on the next. And so you're in that valley, and the wind, when you hit 10, typically it's always in your face. Yeah. And you're like, well, at least when I turn on to 14, I'll at least be playing those holes downwind. And then immediately once you get on that tee box, it's back in your face. You're like, what in the world just happened? It's because of that valley and the way the wind swirls and cuts around. It's just a feature of the golf course. It makes it so brutal.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy to think too. It's like, I always think that the first 14, 15 holes are a great test of golf in their own. But then you get 16, like you said, that's just an absolute brute. You can't see the green from the tee box. Then when you get down to the fairway, you can barely see where the pin's at. It's kind of a crapshoot, unless you have a rangefinder of really judging the yardage, because it kind of plateaus right above you. But it's such a challenging hole, and you can risk it for the biscuit, as we say on 17. But it's like, man, if you don't hit a good second shot there, you're fighting for par on 17 too.
A lot of placement on 17.
Absolutely. And 18 is just, we played it from all the way back today and 225, something like that. Just an absolute bull of a par 3. So while it sometimes can be downwind and a little bit of a breath of fresh air, it's a battle coming in, I feel like.
The other feature of those greens too is the undulation. Like they really hit 15. I love it when I'm riding around the golf course. I have customers and they'll be on 15 reading it, and like they'll ask me to stop and take a look, and I'll look at them, and they'll never believe me. Like when I tell them, like, no man, like really, you want to go up there? Like no way, it can't break that much. And then when they do, like the look on their face, like whoa.
Yeah. From a couple places of having a caddy before in like different instances across the nation, it's like first couple holes, like you just don't want to believe them. Like you're like, no way that breaks that much, and then like by the 4th and 5th hole, you're trusting every dang thing they say, because a lot of these places where you think you just read them well and they pop up with another 8 to 10 inches of break. It's like, having that home course advantage is always something tough to get through to some strangers that, don't know you very well. But I've always learned that if someone knows the home course, man, take their word on it, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the correct call. So I guess getting from that into, we're in the holiday season now. And one things we always talk about is, we travel home for the holidays from, Isaiah from Georgia and myself from Southern Maryland. Do you see a lot of people coming through and either booking packages or being around the golf course this time of year if we have good weather, or is it more on the side of like the ski and board side of things?
It's the ski and board side of things. Like once you get that cold weather and once they turn the snow guns on, it's like you can get that snow drift all the way into Gettysburg, 10 miles away when they start firing those guns up. And it just, people get to thinking about the ski. And, that's our big goal is if we can be open that Christmas week, it's awesome. Like the resort's humming, kids out there learning how to ski and snowboard for the first time. It's a pretty cool place.
Absolutely. And I guess going off of that, how much package golf do you see during the prime season, and how many packages or people can you host within the local lodging that kind of are right off your practice putting green and kind of right there on the course?
So we have 117 rooms on the property now.
Wow.
So the largest group that I have a group of guys that come in September. they typically have between like 78 to 84 when they fluctuate.
Wow.
They go under the name of Bears. It's an awesome group of guys, and they got some pretty competitive golfers out there too. So they made a nice little addition to our 7-iron game that we had today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. For anyone out there who doesn't follow us on Instagram or any of the social medias, we've started a thing within our Enjoy the Walk crew, and kind of every time we go somewhere and feature their course, the last par 5 of the day, we do a 7-iron challenge, and it's a 7-iron from tee to green, and you even putt with your 7-iron. So it brings out the artists in the game, and you get some short game shots. Like I know I had one today from the bunker that I laid her wide open and cut right under it, and it almost spun about 8-9 feet back right across the pin. So you get fun stuff like that, and it's just a fun way to kind of break it up and leave people laughing when we finish out the golf.
It was definitely a fun game. Like I said, I think some guys from that group I think would really enjoy something like that. With those guys though, I mean, you're talking 84. I also have groups that are just one person. Like the guy comes up and his girlfriend goes to the spa while he goes and plays. So it's just that one person golf package. It doesn't matter. Like they'll call and be like, "Do you do packages for for a group that small?" And be like, "Of course." Like we just want you to come and enjoy the property, see what we have to offer. So when you have groups like that and everything in between, I mean, you're talking, ladies groups from country clubs are doing their fall trip here. You got couples groups, you got that large group I'm talking about. It's all over the place. I really like 4th of July because we get a lot of repeat guests that come that are families, because the 4th of July festivities up here at Liberty are really cool. That's in conjunction with Carroll Valley and Fairfield. You guys grew up here. I guarantee you this is where you watch your fireworks.
Yeah, 100%. And not even just 4th of July, but I know you guys are having festivities here coming up New Year's Eve. And being someone who just used to work on your tubing side of things, I mean, this place puts on an amazing display of fireworks for every event, and it's always been fun. It's been the staple of a lot of holidays for my childhood has been Liberty Mountain fireworks. So
that New Year's Day celebration they do up here at Liberty, it's kind of that culmination of that week that everyone's been off school and stuff. And it is, but between the fireworks and the different dinner events they have, the night tubing. And when you're tubing, you get it. You work tubing, man. So you're doing night tubing, you're firing down, and then all of a sudden the fireworks go off. Like, it's sweet.
It's awesome. And we've had so many people that are like, "Man, we've done tubing before, but nothing like this." And it's like, because like New Year's Eve, we get the music bumping on the mountain, and all the speakers are turned up as loud as they can go, and it's a party. And I think that's what's really cool about it. And I almost wish we did more, because it's a sweet experience. It's
you might, but our neighbors probably don't.
Yeah. I like loud music. I like the party. So
cool.
You talking about seeing regulars on a basis like that? Is there any stories of like a regular group other than maybe that group of 85 that you just love seeing come back every year and that have provided some good stories for you?
Yeah, like some of the stories, we kind of got to keep this, in the PG rating. We don't want to go too advanced here, but no, I do. And when all the staff gets together, you can definitely hear some stories. I don't want to single out any one group just because, it's great to see them every single year. You look forward to it. And you'll get a group and if they have like a date conflict and they're unable to make it, like it's sad to have them not be there. Like the email is always going out and be like, "Man, that stinks that we're not going to see you this, last weekend in April." But I mean, again, we're limited on space. I was talking about 117 rooms, but not all those are going to be allocated to golfers. On top of that, we got wedding business.
Absolutely.
I think we're going to end up doing like 91 weddings this year, I believe. I think it's that much. I might be a little off on that. Like, don't quote me on that number, but I know that it's up there.
Well, I can only imagine with the new facilities here that it's just really ramped up your wedding venue kind of space.
Weddings and conferences, and then the golf groups.
So it's not just with there's not just something for the golfers. There's something for everyone to do here between fitness and the spa. You've got the pool. There's tubing, skiing. Obviously, we're touching base on wedding venues, and then you've got the pubs upstairs, which the food and drinks, they're fantastic. If you are looking for any of that, this is definitely a sort of one-stop shop in the area for it all.
What's really cool, I don't know if you guys have ever done it or not because you're local, but like when you stay here, all you have to do is ask the hotel desk, and sometimes you have to sign a waiver depending on what they got going on. But during the summer, like you can walk up to the top of the
to the mountain.
Really?
Wow.
Talk about a view.
Yeah,
like,
no kidding.
You get a really pretty day.
Yep.
Like it's absolutely incredible how
Now
far you can see
that's
from
a
up
hike. I mean,
yeah, it's definitely a little bit of hike.
Yeah,
But yeah, it is.
That's cool,
You
though.
can do it though.
That's
That's why they
pretty
kind of
sweet.
make you sign a waiver just so
absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get like we've had some groups that come up here that'll do like a spiritual journey, and they'll go out and walk around, and and that's one of the places where they'll go
No kidding.
go get in touch with
Well,
their nature.
so that's what I know just from skiing around here before. There's a huge like kind of landing area up there, and I don't know if there's like a if you have like a snack bar or anything up at the top, but
Yeah,
there's a huge like picnic area, I guess, up at the top. And I always thought, like, when I skied here, I was like, well, who uses that? Like, that's a weird place for, like, no one's going to use it in the winter. But that's all I never, you know, all the years I lived here, I never knew that you could just walk to the top
there.
That's pretty sweet.
I'm amazed we haven't had somebody try to get married up there. I know
that is shocking.
I think that there's probably some logistical issues, which is why we have not progressed to that point. Just because, you know, getting up is one thing, but getting back down is another.
Yeah.
Especially like on a lift. Like the lifts are not really technically designed to go back around.
Yep.
You get up to the top, you get off. You come down on your skis and your snowboard. And that's kind of how it's supposed to work. So, you know, it's one thing. You know, you guys are young bucks. You can do it. You can make it on. But when you're talking about grandma.
Yeah.
To watch your daughter. Yeah, that's a little dicey.
Yeah, that had to be a real small, intimate wedding of
Yeah.
like a group of 5 to make that happen logistically.
Exactly.
That's something that's pretty cool too. And it's funny, like we talk about it all the time. It's like no matter how many times you've been places or have, you know, think you've experienced everything, it's like you learn something new about even the places that are in your backyard. Like I'm sure we just did, which is really neat. And I think why we love be able to put people, you know, on the spotlight like this in smaller towns and get people's stories out there. Cause it's just so cool. Cause there's always something to learn. There's always people doing new things, whether it's, you know, you guys with the new facilities here and integrating new ideas and stuff like that. And I know Matt Deal, who we played with today, is an awesome marketing guy for you guys and is always, I'm sure, thinking of new innovative ways to market and stuff like that. So it's just awesome to hear, you know, the new events that are going on within whatever areas of
you guys have since moved away, but one of the things they started doing a couple years ago is just kind of cool, all the concerts on the mountain in the summertime.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they fire that grill out. Just a lot of local artists and stuff like that, but they try to touch on different genres of music. I mean, you'll get like bluegrass one night, you'll get some country, you'll get some classic rock.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like
and you guys have like the outdoor
Singer-songwriter.
bar and everything out there, right?
Yeah.
So it's
They built that grill out there. Honestly, it's where I got married.
heck yeah.
So
That's very cool. Now it's we always love to think about it as just like golf can be integrated with so many different kinds of like events, and you see the Waste Management putting on this huge like party display, and then it seems like every big golf event is putting on some sort of Wednesday concert or, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday concert. It's like,
you got to make golf fun.
absolutely.
I mean, golf's a great game, but the more fun you make it, the more you start to involve other people who might not necessarily, you know, I just think of it this way. Like, I mean, I'm taking my families and stuff to watch tournaments. Like, I don't necessarily know if that was the case years and years ago. It might have just been people who were avid golfers, but
Yeah.
like you said, like Waste Management, I'm like,
What
that's like on my
what a
bucket list
party.
now.
That's
Like, I want to go to the Waste Management.
That's
you
a
know?
buddy's bro trip now.
Yeah.
Like you're not taking the wife and kids out
No,
to that.
probably
but
not that one, but
yeah. And it's neat to see. Like I feel like finally the trickle down effect is coming from that, and it's like people are seeing how much success they're having with the next generation of people at that event. It's like, well, we wouldn't have to make it like exactly like that event, but we can like kind of start taking hints from them and peel away the pieces and start putting it into some of their own events.
I kind of like what they're doing with the tournament down in New Orleans with the 2-man where they do
Zurich.
the walk-up music and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I still think there are places they can go with that event to make it even better.
Yeah.
But like they're getting kind of the idea. Like
100%.
it doesn't necessarily need to be like the beach ball party and Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't
Yeah.
necessarily need them, you know, starting to bong beers and stuff on the tee box.
Right.
But, you know, with the music playing and stuff and hitting tee shots. And these guys are so good. They should be able to concentrate and listen to a song while they tee off.
Absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
we just saw that at the President's Cup too. It's like when guys were in the moment off the first tee and pumping up the
Yeah.
crowd and getting them going, it's like they thrive off of that almost. Like they're professional athletes. It's like they're at a point, and it's just like anyone in an arena or the same kind of deal. It's like the louder the crowd gets, the more they get amped up, and you know, all of a sudden the drive doesn't go 325, it goes 385, and it's like, and that's pretty neat. And I think there's a huge room for growth in that in the game of golf. And I know Dante and I have had a lot of conversations with that off the podcast, but there's a movement to be made, I think, within taking on, the old man golf per se, and to bring it into the 21st century. And I think that, Dante, if you want to touch on that a little bit, just kind of your thoughts on where you'd like to see the game go and what you'd like to see happen within with kind of the new age.
Yeah, in recent news, you got Max Homa, PGA Tour, young guy coming up on tour, really making a name for himself. People are sending videos to him and he's roasting them on Twitter. That's getting the golf community together. And I think that's what's a great aspect of the game. I really think, and then that's where you see where, other social media outlets are starting to pinpoint this, old man golf where, the older generation per se seems as if they're disappointed and they dislike what's going on with the game of golf. But, in order to grow the game, you got to engage all levels. And it looks like our generation, from like 30s down to, early 20s are really getting into the game. They're coming out of college, they play different sports and they're realizing that, you can't like for me, for instance, I played lacrosse in college. So I played, high school and college. And once I graduated, I walked off the stage with my degree and then really like, well, now what do I do? On a competitive level. And, long story short, I found golf and, started really putting a lot of my time and effort into the game and realized that's something I can play to the rest of my life. And I don't really need to rely fully on a full-fledged team. So I feel like a lot of the younger generation are starting to drive and realize this, and they're starting to get into the game of golf. And, things are changing. The younger generations are interested in a lot of things. They're a little bit more hip. They're a little bit, they're engaging. Social media is a big aspect. And I feel like that's how you need to generate out to this younger generation of golf. And it's growing the game, and that's where you want it to go. Sometimes you see if there's a fight, I guess you can say the old man versus, it's kind of the boomer millennial fight. As
Okay,
I mean, yeah, okay. But to my point is, you're seeing a lot of these clubs, for memberships, they're struggling for memberships, but what they're doing is they're incorporating more young executive packages and kind of more pay for one, get 3 courses out of it. And I really feel like that's the direction we need to go in order to keep the game growing and to keep the game alive.
Absolutely. I think what you touched on perfectly was like why I'm moving clubs next year. I love the place I was at, but the place that I'm going to, it has, for the same exact price, a deal where they own 5 different courses. And I'm basically, when I sign up at the place that I'm going to be a member, I'm basically having privileges at 5 courses. So it becomes a point where it's like a no-brainer to do something like that. I feel like with maybe courses that are under similar ownership or can do or have that privilege to do that kind of thing. And I think, kids in our age love the ability to not just be stuck at one place. They love to kind of travel. They love seeing new places. And I think having that ability to not be stuck in at one particular golf course for the entire year is something that our generation is taking advantage of with these young executive memberships.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I can talk about too. I travel full time, play for a living, so getting a different change of scenery, playing in a different environment, that's huge in keeping interest. There's a lot you can learn from playing one course over many years. I learned a lot at Mountain View playing there for 8-10 years straight, every day, 10 hours a day. There's a lot that can be learned in that time, but in order to grow as a golfer and to meet new people and to become the best version of yourself on the golf course, you've got to go play different courses, have different experiences, see different grasses. But you mentioned that you're moving to Glen Riddle, and joining there, you're going to be a member at several other courses. Is that something that Carroll Valley has in association with other resorts in the area?
Yeah, so one of the first things that we did, going back to that when Liberty purchased Carroll Valley, we have our hotel guests that are coming, and I have some that want to play all their rounds here, which is great. We love to keep people in house. You guys have played it; it's an awesome golf course.
No doubt.
But at the same time, just from my own personal experience, knowing the buddy trips that I was taking down to Myrtle Beach, some people want to be able to play different experiences. So one of the first things I did was try and reach out to the other facilities in the area and make the connections and see what we can do to partner. And at this point in time, if you come here, you can pretty much play any golf course in our area as part of your stay.
Very cool.
So that, and then not only just for the hotel guests that are coming, but it's also even like members. Like, you know, it's all, I think I was in one Golf Now Summit before they were Golf Now, so it would have been for 4 reservations, and they were talking this term. This is the first time I'd ever heard it. I was just kind of getting back into the golf industry, and I thought it was really cool. They call it co-opetition. So golf courses, they are, you know, competing against each other, but there are avenues to cooperate at the same time. So you can compete yet cooperate.
Yeah.
I kind of took to heart and was like, all right, that's a good idea, because if let's say the Links at Gettysburg is booked for a tournament, well, that means that there are players who might want to be playing the Links that day that can't.
Yep.
Well, they might have an opening to play at our facility and vice versa. So.
I think that's huge. And like you said, there's so many like corporate events nowadays and so many, and I don't know how your ratio is to like corporate events to regular play, but I feel like at least in our area, we see a lot of it. And there's a lot of times where even, you know, members just can't get out on their own course a lot of days. And it's nice to be able to open up that communication with local courses, because I think it just gives you the opportunity to keep everybody happy at the end of the day. Whether it's sending someone off to, you know, all right, just play this course today and we'll bring you back in tomorrow, you know, and I think that's something that just makes it stronger of a experience for people who are coming in and the members that are in house. So I guess we've pretty much covered, I feel like, a majority of Carroll Valley for the first half of this episode. And, you know, we are interviewing Gavin Green, who's the chief operator of golf operations here at Carroll Valley and a head professional. So let's love to get into a little bit of your background and kind of, you know, how you've gotten into the game and see really where you've picked up a club and gotten back. You said you got back into golf a little bit. So where did you first pick up the game and kind of how did you first learn about the game of golf?
I learned it from my dad.
Yeah.
You know, the clubs actually I played with, they were, you know, hand-me-downs from my grandfather, you know, and like basically it was an easy transition from baseball to golf. You know, I was at that age, I think I was around 12. And it just, one, I wasn't getting much better at baseball. So I was like, I don't think this is going to go much further for me. And two, what I really liked about golf is the fact that the balls weren't flying at me 75 miles an hour at this point in time. I love the fact that the ball stayed stationary on the tee and it was my job to hit it, not have the ball hit me. So it made it a real easy transition. Where we lucked out, I'm kind of local too. I'm from Thurmont. So I'm right down the road, Frederick County, down right across the border of Maryland. And one of the things that we did, which was really cool at our middle school, is they had kind of an activity period. And so you had to write down 5 different activities that you wanted to be involved in, you know, just because they couldn't always guarantee you'd get the first because, you know, they could only handle so much class sizes. But one of the ones was golf. And that was one of the ones that I put down, and me and a couple friends, we actually got into that activity period. So like every 2 weeks on that Friday, rather than going to class, you would go and the teacher would teach an activity. Nice. And the one who actually did golf was the band director. We were all in band anyway, so it was kind of cool. We got to go hang out, you know, with Mr. Osborne some more. Yeah. And that's where we would putt in the band room on the floor and stuff. And he introduced us to what a golf club was. And so from there, we're like, oh, you know, my dad plays golf and my buddy's dad plays golf. He's like, well, maybe they'll take us to the driving range. So from there, we go to the driving range, start pounding some balls around. And they're like, well, what's the golf course like? So then they take you out on the golf course. And honestly, it kind of fell in love with it from there.
Yeah. No, we talked about that our last podcast. It seems like there's very few schools that still do that as far as like getting kids into golf in general, or, you know, sports. It seems like phys ed classes are more based around like your dodgeball, kick, you know, maybe a little football, baseball. But I think it'd be really cool to see schools making sure that kids get a feeling for golf and something along those lines too. Cause I feel like might be inexpensive for school expenses, you know, as equipment goes to get some kids into it. And I think it would be really cool to see more programs popping up in like that middle school age, like you were talking about, to get kids at least introduced to it.
They have a pretty cool program called Snag. Are you guys familiar with that? Starting new at golf. A guy kind of designed it. It involves like a lot of like tennis balls and Velcro and targets and pyramids. And it's kind of it's a way to introduce the game to kids. It almost would be, mean, it doesn't have to be just kids. You could use it to introduce it to anybody,
Sure.
but it helps to kind of develop from some of the skill motor movement that you require on the golf swing. And then from there, you're introducing, ball and stick sports. But it is kind of a really neat program. And I remember when I saw it out in San Diego, I was like, this would be awesome to get in the schools and to get it into the, the PE program, if you could. So because like you guys remember, you're doing, you have scooter dodgeball for these 2 weeks, and you move on to floor hockey for these 2 weeks. If you could somehow get golf in for 2 weeks in Snag, I think that would be one great way to grow the game to kids. But then I think that would be the way that you need to go, because you can't just give them a golf club and a ball and be like, here you go, man.
God help us all. I mean, foam balls or not, someone's getting hurt with a golf club just swinging in midair.
That could get real ugly real quick.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool, and I think we're gonna have to look into that a little more.
Yeah,
I've never heard of it.
Look at Snag, man. It's pretty sweet.
Very cool.
That sounds like something I would do.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
For purposes.
Oh, yeah.
When it gets cold enough.
Yeah.
That's another thing we didn't touch base on is the simulator room that was added in the clubhouse there. That's fantastic. I used that for a couple.
Yes, you
winters.
did. Yeah. That was very entertaining.
I was gonna say
the numbers, the team ball.
the numbers he has to put up on a freaking machine, man.
Oh,
Just watch those swing speeds and stuff like that.
The ball speed was absolutely mind blowing for me. I was just like, Phil and I, when I was talking about Phil, was the former pro here for the institution here at the facility, and we did watch it. And Phil would look at us, and I love this quote, and I'm gonna give him credit for it because I use it all the time. Isaiah plays chess. We play checkers. It is a different game. It looks the same, but it is not the same game.
You said that on the 13th tee today when we were playing. He hit a drive that just seemed like it stayed in the air for ages. Like I could have ordered a coffee, gotten a coffee, drank a coffee, and it still would have been in the air. But I was super happy to know that I chased him down. It was only about a yard behind him after you said that.
I was so impressed.
So you know what? I had one good drive today, and it was that one, so I'll take it and run with it, because it's not too many times I get to chase down this kid and actually keep up with him off the tee box.
That was sweet.
But getting back into that simulator room a little bit, do you see a lot of people utilizing that when they stay here?
Yeah, so we have actually seen that grow a lot over the past couple of years. That was one of the things that we kind of lobbied in on the golf side to get in when they built this new building. We actually kind of grabbed the idea from Golf 364. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Dante, are you in New York or Philly?
I'm right outside of Philly, but I know of Golf 364. Actually, they come to. Yep, 100%. Yeah, they have that golf expo every year in January, February, whenever it is, up by the Oaks.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Golf Show. I'll be there.
We go there every year, me and my dad. We go there every year because, we need something to do, because at that time it's just a little too cold, unless you get like that one or 2 days where it's like 40. But yeah, we go there every year. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We'll probably be there again, so I'll stop by the tent.
There you go, man. Yeah, Golf 364. Guy was talking, like they turned Linfield National ended up turning their car barn into a simulator bar, and we went and saw it, and we were like, well, this is awesome. It has bar service, and they can go in and you can basically play all winter. So we wanted to do something like that. One, to offer hotel guests, because not everybody skis over time. Like I know I can speak for me personally. Like my kids, once they were old enough to be able to go on the mountain without my supervision, without me having to be on the mountain with them, I've been on since. Like, that's not really my thing. So for me, if I'm taking them to this mountain, like I would love to be able to go and, bang balls for an hour. So that was cool. We have started to run leagues out of it, which is kind of cool. We do a ghost man style league. So you don't have to be here a certain time. You just have to get your 9 holes in one time during the week. And then I do a Stableford scoring system kind of deal, payout skins and stuff like that.
Very cool.
But then it's also good for, and what Isaiah used this a lot, is working on your swing.
100%.
As far as that goes, what I really like about, when I watch a lot of amateurs on a driving range, like the number one mistake they make is that they just bank ball after ball after ball. They don't ever take any time to stop, think, what just happened, what did I do, what am I working on to cause it, how am I going to improve this? They just hit ball and ball and ball. And what's nice about the simulators, because of the way that it works with the numbers flashing up and going through everything, like it causes you to stop between each shot.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's what's nice about hitting.
You actually have to look at the numbers and see what you did, and I'm sure like usually most simulators have the tracer too, so you're really actually getting to watch the full effect of the golf shot and then seeing why it happened that way. So I've always loved simulators for the same reason. It's just like it's letting you realize what is compounding to go into it, and not just, oh, maybe I bet my wrist the wrong way that time. It's like, no, well, your club face was however many degrees closed, and this ball speed was different, and it's all the numbers, which golf nerds like us just love watching on the screen every day.
Exactly. No, I beg and plead with my wife that whenever we sell the house and buy the next one, that we have enough space that I can put a simulator.
100%. I rent now, and anytime I'm looking at like possible houses, I'm like, but can a simulator go in there?
How high is that ceiling clearance, and how big is this room? Yep, I can do it.
Absolutely. So I guess when you guys did see this new facility come together, were you the pro before this whole facility was here? And then if you were, what kind of changes did you see from like the golf pro side of things once this new facility was built?
Phil had retired as the head professional, I want to say in December 2015. It kind of made the transition.
Okay.
Now he's still around. Like, I can't imagine what it'd be like not to have him still around.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, he had retired from the official duties of having to log the hours in as far as the head pro work goes. So, but I would have been working with him. I had actually already started in the PGM program at that point in time, the associate program, because I was running the hotel experience here for the guests. I was in charge of the golf group sales before transitioning to that role.
Okay. And now, around what year was that?
That was 2015.
2015.
Yeah, it would have been December 2015
Gotcha.
when I transitioned.
Cool. And then where did you go through that PGM program?
So I did the associate program. Now they do have the PGM program that you can take at the accredited universities they work with. I'm pretty certain Liberty is one, right?
Yeah.
Is Liberty one?
I don't think Liberty is, but many do offer it.
I know Camel's one. University of Maryland Eastern Shores actually.
Yeah, they have a huge program. Yeah. We see a lot of guys just around the local courses and nutters and stuff like that are constantly out there playing and have the Maryland bags and stuff like that. And yeah, they have a thriving program down there.
The adjunct professor, because I just finished my level 3 actually down at Port St. Lucie. It was funny. We were on the range and I looked over and saw his jacket and noticed he had a UMES. And I'm like, wait a minute, what did you do? And he's like, yeah, that's one of the places that he's been and taught at. Coastal Carolina has a real big one.
Yes, they do. That's huge.
Florida Gulf Coast. Very familiar with that one only because my stepdaughter's looking at going to school at Florida Gulf Coast. So that was one of the things that I enjoyed about touring that campus was checking out their PGM program that they had associated. Now, because I had already gone to school and got my degree, I did what they call the associate program. You have to take a playing test, you have to pass a rules exam, and then from there you basically enroll with the PGA. And when I went through the program, it was their level 2, and it was broken into 3 different levels. I'm sorry, it was the PGM 2.0 because they just unveiled the PGA 3.0, which is 3 levels, level 1, 2, and 3. So I just was doing the 3rd level, actually. I just finished up my last final seminar. We're down at Port St. Lucie.
Very cool. No, that's something I think a lot of people don't realize is there's a million ways to get into the PGM program, and whether it's, like you said, the full process of getting going right from high school into the program, or you can start it at really any age. When did you kind of go? At what age did you get into the PGM program from the hotel and golf sales side of things?
It would have been 2013 is when I started, and let me think about this. I was born in '82, which made me 31 years old.
That's awesome.
31 when I started it.
Yeah.
I was actually I was a government politics major. At University of Maryland, I thought I wanted to go in and run for, office and be a guysman. Yeah. And then after about my junior year, I'm like, man, I don't want to do this at all. From there, I was actually working at an engineering firm, working on traffic collection data, and transition. Hated that too. I remember talking to my dad. I'm like, this is miserable. I'm in a cubicle and I got fluorescent lights in my head. I haven't seen the sunlight in forever. I'm driving. At that point in time, I was commuting down to Ellicott City from Thurmont. I'm like, I'm stuck in the car and in traffic.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, just quit. And I just looked at him like, what do you mean? Just quit.
That's an option? What?
Go find something else you want to do. And I was like, well, okay. So I ended up quitting, got a job working maintenance golf maintenance because I was like, you know what, I want to get in the golf. Working golf maintenance at Musket Ridge, down outside of Middletown.
Mm-hmm.
Played there, nice track.
Yeah, real nice track. That was the best part of that. I mean, great. I'm a college graduate who just gave up my job where I'm actually able to provide rent and everything for now I'm, cutting grass. But at the same time, that was sweet. Like I would be done work at 2, would play 18 holes, wasn't married at the time. Come back home and like wash, rinse, and repeat every single day.
I spent summers in between college working up at Elmhurst Country Club in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and there we are, lights back on, baby.
There you go.
And I mean, to be done by like 1:30, 2 o'clock, like you said, and have one of the nicest golf courses in northeastern PA, and just go out and play golf. It's a great gig, especially like you said, when you're single and have no commitments. Have at it.
That's definitely one of the perks of the job. So from there, from the maintenance, I had actually already made a connection and was still they were kind of opening up a position at Glade Valley. And once they offered me that job, I started there, spent 3 years, and actually had started the PGA, their 1.0 program, their initial associate program.
Yeah.
And then from there, after 3 years, ended up taking a small career detour. We'll be honest, I lost my job. So that's what they call a detour.
Yep.
Make sure you always get along with everybody you work with. Just a word to the wise out there. Took the first job I could. You have bills, you got to support it, and was working at a winery up in a local Adams County winery.
Yeah.
And it was actually, of all things, I was young, dumb, hanging out, partying all the time. It was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because I spent 3 years working for a retired colonel who worked in the Judge Advocate General program. She was an Army lawyer, and her husband was a lieutenant colonel and did artillery. And just honestly, 3 years of just the experience of maturity, learning, responsibility, and accountability was absolutely life changing. So don't get me wrong, it wasn't like it was the greatest place to work. As far as there were some difficulties, just like any job, but I learned a lot, and I'm in debt forever for that job from what I learned. And from there, I also, because of what I was doing, which was marketing and sales, I had met the director of sales for Liberty Mountain. And so when they bought Carroll Valley, it was in the paper. I happened to run into her like 2 weeks later at the Gettysburg Bluegrass Festival. I was like, hey, I would love to get back into the golf industry. If anything opens up that just let me know. She reached out to me maybe like a month later and was like, hey, we are going to be opening up the sales position, that will basically be coordinating our hotel program with the golf. I'm like, well, that sounds awesome. And I ended up, interviewed for it. Yeah. I was actually offered the job when I was at my best friend's wedding. We were out playing golf the day before. I was on the golf course when I took the call. And when he offered me the job. The
best place to accept a golf job.
Oh, yes, it was absolutely incredible.
That's fantastic.
I took that job. That was 2010. I've been here ever since. August 21st, awesome. 2010.
That's crazy.
Coming up on my 10th season.
It's funny how, so many people talk about that, like the way you phrased it, of just being stuck in a cubicle and just feeling like, man, it's like, I can't do this. And some people love it, and some people love the 9 to 5 and to do it, but there's a lot of people that just feel like, man, I'm not fit for it. This isn't what I want to do, is just sit at a desk all day. Yeah. And it's really cool to know that there is, if you want to go do something else, there's always that opportunity.
It really is. My stepson, he's a junior in college right now, so he's coming up on that where he's about to be welcome to the real world, and he's nervous because he's like, well, I don't know what I want to do. And that's why I keep trying to tell him, man, you're not stuck.
Never.
You are not stuck.
Yep.
You are the one who creates your own destiny. You just need to go find something that makes you happy and just continue to do it. So
absolutely, and that's what's cool, and why we've gotten into this is and not even to turn it into a job, but I just think to offer another opportunity for us to just do something during the day that we love to do, and to get stories out of people from the golf side of things, and even maybe a little more. And I know we've both grown up in the game of golf, and Dante's found the golf game here pretty recently within the last 2 or 3 years and found a true passion for it. So it's awesome to be able to see, how quickly we just jumped into this and said, yeah, let's just do it. I think the biggest hurdle for most people, I feel like, is just saying the initial, all right, let's do it. Mm-hmm. Once you get going and get rolling, the ball's easily just on a crash course, and you just got to keep up with it at that point,
Yep.
And I think it's cool to see a lot of people, including yourself, that just kind of took that leap and said, I want to get into it, so let's see how we can make it happen.
I absolutely love it, man. Phil and I talk about it all the time, and we work at a golf course. Like there's never a day that I wake up that I'm not like, oh man, I don't want to go to work. Like,
what a wretched place to go work. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's funny. It's one of the things. Like, one of my favorite smells is the smell of fresh cut grass.
You and me
like,
both.
So when you roll to a golf course in the middle of summer, and you're out there in the morning, you can hear the mowers going and stuff. Like, it's the best, at least as far as I'm concerned. So.
Yeah,
Each his own. Everybody has their own thing. But
I know a lot of our listeners will attest to that. I love the smell of fresh cut grass, and especially when I was growing up playing a game and had no worries in the world, and I was out there with this kid in the first thing in the morning, and we were following the mowers off one. That's just awesome, man. I don't care who you are. That's a great feeling to have. And it's just it's neat to know that those kind of professions are out there. Now, you guys with the marketing department who we played with today with Matt Deal have a little YouTube series that you've started.
Yeah.
Do you guys get into any of that like nice fresh cut grass smell on the YouTube series? And I think it's called The Whole 9 Yards. And kind of take us through what got that started and how you guys enjoy doing that.
So I don't mind saying this. It's okay. I'll take the pushback from Emma and Matt. But what I've noticed in my years of working with people in marketing, golfers, they don't mind, when they have to open the shop at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock. Those hours, we're used to it.
Yeah.
The marketing door doesn't open at 5 o'clock in the morning. That doesn't happen. So we're usually waiting until mid-morning before we get out there.
Yeah.
But no, they have been an absolute blast. Unfortunately, I gotta give some props to Emma Kement. I hope I said your name right, Emma. I don't know. I've never actually said it before. It's just Emma. Emma's the behind-the-scenes coordinator for us.
Sure.
She's the one who's been taking all our videos. She's also comes up with a lot of the ideas. Her and Matt have just been an absolute blast to work with. They kind of came on together. Marketing, golf. I'm not going to whine or complain about it, but it's tough being a golf course at a ski resort. Like the ski resort is the big driver of the business. So to get people to pay a little bit of attention to us every once in a while, sometimes it can be kind of tough. Which understandably so, they got bigger fish to fry. But the one thing that we have had with Matt and Emma has just been an awesome relationship. And so they came to us about it. They were like, yeah, we kind of want to do this. We do this thing on the mountain, Mountain Minute. It's a lot of fun. We'd like to do it for golf. And I remember sitting there in the meeting being like, okay, but I guess I'm not going to turn a gift horse in the mouth. So if they want to do something, we'll do it. And after the very first video, I was like, this is dope. Let's do this. This is cool, man. What's our schedule? What are we doing? Just the hardest part at this point in time is just trying to come up with ideas every single time.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, you guys have hit it out of the park so far. I know I got hooked on watching. I didn't know you watched it or had made those videos until we kind of set up this whole day, and it was just hilarious listening through those updates of what the golf course is looking like and little swing tips and stuff like that. And my favorite, for anyone who hasn't seen it, go check it out, The Whole 9 Yards by Liberty Mountain Resort. It's a pretty neat little spoof on some golf tips, and you might find one where he's kind of chilling in some beachwear in a bunker and helping a guy figure out his bunker game. But it's a pretty neat little video and a series which everyone should go check out.
Yeah, it has been a lot of fun. We're looking forward to next year. I'm trying to get Matt to do a new segment because the big key when you have these videos is to find out if people are actually paying attention.
Sure.
Is anybody actually watching? So we're always trying to come up with an idea like what can we do that we can increase the participation with the viewer and see if they're out there paying attention. I'm trying to convince Matt to do it for next year, but I'm real big on doing like movie references and movie quotes and stuff. And Matt, we should just throw in a reference in every single episode and just put it on the bottom. Whoever makes the comment of what movie or what song or what TV show we just referenced. Yeah. We'll do like around the golf forum or like a promo in the restaurant or something that we can do at the resort. Try and get that participation up. I'll just give you a little hint, man. We did a speed drill, and the whole time, all I kept thinking in my head was they just come out with the new Top Gun preview. Yeah. And I'm thinking of Top Gun. I'm like, this would be perfect, Matt. You're Goose. I'm Maverick.
Right.
We feel the need for speed.
Absolutely.
Let's see if anybody out there knows what the heck we're talking about.
Boy, you're speaking my language. Top Gun is my favorite movie, of my childhood. That thing is I could replay that on end and not get sick of it.
Between that and cocktail, I didn't know who I wanted to grow up to be more. The bartender or the fighter pilot.
Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. So I think, as we wrap up here, one thing we always ask people is a little fun segment, your highest and lowest competitive round, where they came and how you kind of fought through that worst round and the feeling you had when you shot your lowest round. So start off with whichever one you feel most comfortable with first.
My lowest competitive round, I don't, like I said, I'm playing checkers. I'm not playing just like you guys, so it'd be hard to think of the lowest competitive round. Maybe one of my PAT rounds. I shot 73 in my second of the PAT to pass my player ability test
Awesome.
for the PGM.
Yeah.
So that was kind of sweet. Like the amount of relief on that. The hardest part about the PAT is playing to a number, which it doesn't sound like you'll hear the number. I think you had to when I passed mine, I think it was a 77-76 or 77-77. It's like a 154 for the 36 holes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you're a good golfer, it doesn't sound like much, but it's amazing how many people don't pass it, because when you're standing on the 15th hole and now you only have 3 bogeys to go and then you double that next hole, like the amount of pressure that comes on is intense for your good golfer. So that would probably be that. The worst is easy. The worst, I'm going back to high school. We all started getting into this game. We're all freshmen, and my group of friends that I grew up playing with, which is the reason why I play. And our high school team wasn't the greatest, so we as freshmen we played. Like, we were part of the 6 that would go.
Yeah.
And I remember going to regional tournament, and I did one of the worst things you could ever do. My dad let me borrow his clubs. They were nicer clubs. He's like, you can borrow mine. So I'm playing with clubs I've never played before. I'm playing this golf course that I've never played before.
Yikes.
I'm not that good anyway. So it's just a perfect storm. I ended up shooting, I don't know the exact number at this point in time, but I know it was plus 120. Like, I'm thinking it was like 122, 123
Beautiful.
around that. And I remember just getting on the bus and just putting my head down, like, what in the world just happened out there?
Right, like you're looking back and you're like, man, I did everything possible wrong today.
That was easy, the worst round. I'll never forget that, the feeling after that round of golf. But
it's funny, between ourselves and between people we've had on the podcast already, it's funny how easy the worst round comes to mind. Everyone has said that so far. It's been like, worst round. I know it. Like, it just comes to head so easy. And I don't know whether it's just golf puts that stain in your brain so quick of when it was just that bad. And, but it's funny how we all kind of recollect on the wrong ones, on the bad ones so quickly.
It is. That's why golf's such a mental game. I remember the first time I ever got the shanks was hole number 8 at Glade Valley. Yeah, sorry I said that out there.
I was this close to having one of that 118 today. My God. It just sent shivers up my spine.
Hole number 8 at Glade Valley, and I could never play the hole the same after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
No matter how many great shots you may have hit in your lifetime, at that hole, once you hit that one there, I'll never, even now when I step up on that hole, I'm like, oh God. I'm adjusting my swing to try and not do this. It's crazy how that works. Such a mental game, man. Such a mental game.
Oh, my goodness. We talk about it a lot, too, whether it's the confidence factor or just having the mental game for this game to be successful. And it's like, the minute something creeps into your head, and we think, obviously I think amateurs deal with it the most because they struggle more than anyone else. But to convince yourself over whether it's a drive or a wedge shot that it's just not going to go haywire, and the million swing thoughts that you need to have to put it all together, if you miss one, it's just gone. Is like, it's incredible that amateurs can piece together good rounds when there's so much going on in their heads. So it's funny that it seems like that worst round always just peckers at you a little more than most.
That was easy to answer that question.
Absolutely. Man, well, hey, I think that'll just about wrap us up here. I think we've been on here for just close to an hour. So, Gavin, it's been a pleasure talking to you today, and thank you so much for having us out. Me, man. Yeah, been a pleasure playing today, and man, we've been blessed with good weather today. I didn't know December 23rd we were going to get out to play as well. So
when you sent me that email, the first thing I did was check the weather. I'm like, when does he want to play?
Well, so it was funny. Before I sent the email, I checked the weather because I was like, I'm not going to sound like a crazy idiot that wants to get everyone out when it's 20 degrees. I was like, I'll at least make sure we're being in the realm of possibility here. But we got blessed and got some great content and got to play some golf today, which is always the great end all be all of any of our days. If we can get out and play golf, it's a good day.
Hey, Dante, so you said you came on the trip with your dad here. What's the last name?
No, I actually came out with a couple buddies of mine from the course I played at. I don't remember the last name, but off the top of my head, I think his name was Vinny. Does that name ring a bell?
When would you think you would have come?
We would have came. It was it was mid-September.
Vinny Barlotti, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Love
His
that
crew.
guy. Love that
Talking
guy.
about
Yeah.
customer service
Yeah.
at its finest. Let's go.
That's so awesome.
Yeah,
Vinny's
yeah.
one of the best.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's down at I think he's down at Stone Harbor, down in like the Egg Harbor Township area in New Jersey,
Yeah.
more towards the Atlantic City area. Yeah, he was great. So a buddy of mine, Dave, actually he introduced me to the trip. So him and I are members at Running Deer
Okay.
down in Pittsgrove, Pilesgrove, New Jersey, southern New Jersey, Ron Jaworski owned course, and I met up with him when I joined, and every year he talked about, yeah, we go on this trip to Carroll Valley, man, it's a blast, great group of guys, you gotta go, and that year I went, I think it was 2017, I had the opportunity to go, and I'll tell you what, it was a blast. I mean, the golf was great, the guys were great, the hospitality was phenomenal. We stayed at the lodge, and that was absolutely phenomenal. I remember going into one day, I was so sore from playing all that golf. They went out and played more, and I was like, I'm taking a break. And
You hit up the hot tub?
the hot tub, I went in the pool. I was shooting hoops for an hour.
Yeah.
Whew. I was like, this is great. I was like, it's phenomenal because you get that resort, you get that basically mountain lodge feel.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go play 9 or 18, depending on how I went. Yeah, it was. And then we had like some steak dinner near the end. They put us in a room. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that meal was phenomenal because all they did was talk about the meal. They're like, can't wait till the meal. Can't wait till the meal. I'm like, all right, well, here's this meal, and I'll tell you what. Yeah, it was a great meal. It was definitely a great trip.
It sounds like we're booking this trip for 2020.
I'm telling you.
I mean, like, I'm a local, but it sounds like I need to stay here and get the experience because it sounds pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I need to see Vinny. Vinny sounds like a guy.
Vinny
The way he
Barlotti,
reacted,
man. I knew.
I need in on
once
that.
He said Vinny, I'm like, it's got to be Barlotti.
Yeah,
and then
I need
once you
it.
said mid-September,
To live by, Vinny told me this. He goes, I never have a bad shot. He goes, the only thing is my towards is off. He goes, he goes, I hit it towards the tree, I hit it towards the water, my towards is off.
that is exactly what Vinny would sound like.
Oh,
too.
my God, I love it.
That's spot on impersonation.
well, I tell you
Because
what,
my
enjoy the
choice is
walks.
off.
We're joining Vinny in 2020. Tell him to book the trip now. We're in.
He's already booked.
All right. So,
He books before he leaves.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you
it's
what.
great.
Anyone coming out, trust Vinny's expertise and book a trip here at Carroll Valley.
Even if you don't book one here, for all your listeners out there, if you don't take a trip, like, you really should get some buddies together, get a group of girls, whatever, and go out and make a golf trip, man. I do it with my group. It's all my high school buddies. Like, we call ourselves the Catoctin Cup. So I do a Ryder Cup every year.
Yep.
Every other year. So senior year, like on the even years with the Ryder Cup, we're doing. Like, I'm already booked. We're going to it'll be out near you, Vinny. We're doing to the Shawnee Inn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Poconos.
Yeah, in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where our trip is.
Yep.
So we do 30. We're doing 27, 36, 36.
Very cool.
So we stay 3 nights.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I do uniforms for it and everything. I work through my Adidas rep. Like, I got my logo that I attach to it.
Yeah.
Like, I do 2 pairs of shorts, 2 shirts, a pullover. I wrap prize money into it.
The
I
whole
got
nine.
glassware. We play ulti-shot, 2-man scramble, 2-man best ball, 2-man best ball, another
Absolutely.
singles round.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It's the one thing. If you talk to all my guys, we're all married with kids. Those are the best days of our lives. The days your kids are born, the day you get married. But the best of the year, if you ask some of these guys, they would be honest with you, like when they go on the golf trip, because the golf trip is. Everybody out there should do it. You don't necessarily have to come to my resort, as much as I'd love you to, but you should go on a golf trip.
Absolutely. I think just like we'll branch on. I love getting into that topic. I love buddy trips. We took a trip my 5th year of college, so I was out of the golf program, so I had a little more leniency of where I could go spring break trip wise. We went down to Myrtle Beach. 6 of us guys. Ended up being 2 threesomes, which was really cool because we kind of swapped the threesomes every day. Everyone was paired with new partners, and we just did threesome versus threesome and points at the end of the we kind of did a cup style. And oh my God, it was so much fun. And then you get put up in these awesome venues. Most of these resorts where you're doing trips to just have awesome venues. They have awesome housing. They have awesome food. I mean, they put you up and they give you a great experience. Let alone the competitive golf just between your buddies and the shit talk that goes on and all that.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good time, and like you said, it ends up being the highlight of the year. Plain and simple.
I'm sorry, we're going to go along, but I got to tell this story because it's just too good.
I'm in.
So my buddy James, the skill level on this trip, we are all over the place. And so we went to Heritage Hills so when I do the Ryder Cup, the odd years I call it the Invitational, and we just play different games. And so one of the games I always like to play, I call it a red, white, and blue. So I'll do a deck of cards, and I'll flip through, and you'll do 6 from the red tee, 6 from the white, 6 from the blue. They're all randomly drawn. There you go, late. Come on. So you might be playing different tees than your guys that are still in your group. Everybody has different tees, all based on the draw. Well, this is going to be the first round that we play the first day, but we're all staying the night before. We're going to Heritage Hills in York, and we're boozing it up the night before. It is a late night, and for my one buddy, it got even later with what I believe was a bottle of Tito's in the room with some of the other guys. I think he was up till 4 o'clock in the morning drinking Tito's, and we were teeing off at 7:30. And he is one of the last people to the tee. And he also happens to be the worst golfer of the group. Love you, James, if you're out there, buddy. But he's bad. At least he was bad. He's gotten much better. But he had the draw where he had to play from the tips on the 10th tee at Heritage Hills. Which, if you are not familiar,
That's not an easy shot.
no, it's not only is it not an easy shot, but you're almost in the parking lot. You're by the putting green. You are in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And he had to step up there and hit this ball. And it was funny. My buddy Robbie White got it on video. He damn near shanked the ball into the little row of trees there on the right-hand side. He picked up, he's like, yep, that's it, and just walked on, got in the cart, and we were like, all right, we'll just drop you up there somewhere. we'll drop you 2. We'll put you 3 up there somewhere away from people.
See, now that is the scary part that you do have to watch yourself on buddies trips. Drinking well into the morning is an easy thing to do, a thing that you should expect to do. But keep in mind, 7:30 a.m. tee times come to bite you in the ass sometimes.
And when you're at a resort that it needs to fire those tee times out, there's no being late on those
No.
tee times, man. Get on the box.
Yeah.
Hit the ball.
Easiest way I can say to make that tee time is make yourself a nice little mixed drink, either with the orange juice or whatever you drink in the morning, and just that's the best way to bite the dog is just keep on keeping on.
Oh, man. Great time.
Absolutely. No, the buddies trips are always a must, and I think we can all attest to that. It's a fun time and a highlight of the year.
Cool.
So, Dante, you got any buddies trip stories?
There's some Carroll Valley ones, but I don't know if I should say much. No, but I'll tell you.
For the safety of all involved, I'll let you off the hook there.
No, but honestly, besides the last Hawaii trip, every vacation or trip I've done in the past 5 years has all been golf buddies trips. So that just kind of, I think, speaks for itself on how fun they are. But I definitely think if you're doing a buddies trip, golf, eat, golf that same day, repeat.
Yep.
That's my
I
idea.
always think the more the merrier to that too. If you can,
100%.
Get on the golf trip, get them because it's
Yeah, and if you can do
get
that
in on it, the better it is.
100%. If you can do that Ryder Cup style, or you can flip teams and whatnot, that's definitely the best way to do it. I haven't experienced that full type trip yet, besides the Carroll Valley trip. But yeah, if you can get like a group of like 12 guys or something like that, you'll have a blast.
Absolutely. Now that's I'm glad we touched on that topic because that's just one thing that has seemed to make itself into my schedule every year, no matter if I feel like I have the time for it or not. So I think all of our listeners can appreciate what we just kind of went through, and hopefully are in the process of getting on your computers and booking it now, because or at least texting your buddies and getting them all together, because it's definitely something that you all need to do.
Yeah, definitely.
So without further ado, I think we'll wrap it up. And like we said, thanks again, Gavin, for having us. And Liberty Mountain has truly been a great experience for us today, and I know is always top notch, especially with the new facilities. So thanks for having us, and as always, guys, enjoy the walk.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Enjoy the walk.
Take care, guys.
That's the stuff. One shot at a time.